The Legion of Soldiers, the strongest civilization for hire. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76, The Fourth Life Form. This metal? Chen took two items that Carmine Leto used for trading from the exchange. I have definitely seen it somewhere before. Looking at the metal block, Chen fell into deep thought. This metal block gave him a deep sense of familiarity. This metal block must have something special, but he has forgotten it. After all, he could remember many things before because he was a divine body with superhuman memory. However, he was reborn once, and after he turned back into an ordinary person, his brain blurred many memories for self-protection. However, those memories did not disappear. If he could see something related to this metal block in the future, his brain might be stimulated and he would remember it. Well, forget it if you can't remember. The characteristic of the Sakaro star region is that the effects of branch technology products of individual mechanical types will be enhanced. The bonus is mainly the acquisition of divine energy, but every time a level 5 NPC civilization is captured, the Alliance can obtain a bonus to the research speed of civilization blueprints. At the same time, if you want to break the domain wall between star regions, you must also capture the level 5 civilization first. While Chen was still planning the development of the Shura Empire in the Alliance universe, Nagusa finally returned to the Chiwu star system. Queen, the Shura Civilization found these around their online names. Nagusa took out the demon babies. Oh, Morgana was slightly stunned when she looked at these demon babies. Queen, according to my speculation, these babies should have been stolen from the demon civilization by other civilizations more than 10,000 years ago. Morgana did not speak, she just stared at these babies blankly. Queen, seeing that Morgana did not respond for a long time, Nagusa called her twice. Oh, Morgana came back to her senses after hearing Nagusa's call. Actually, these babies were not stolen. In addition to these demon babies, have the Shura Civilization found any angel babies? Morgana walked to the side of the petri dishes and looked at the babies in them with gentle eyes. Indeed, there are 2 angel babies there. Nagusa replied. That's right. Morgana sighed. These babies were not stolen, but we took the initiative to send them away. 12,000 years ago, a star in a galaxy underwent some unknown mutations. Because of that mutation, a special crystal called Cybertron crystal was produced around any planet. This crystal can make machines have life, and can even evolve by absorbing energy. And that galaxy just happened to have such a civilization, which had just become a first-level civilization and produced a large number of robots. So, those Cybertron crystals and those robots merged into one, and a new life form appeared in addition to the Shen body, the beast body, and the triangular body. We call them mechanical bodies, but at the beginning, we did not realize how terrible this life form is. Although Karl, the current king of the Death God civilization, and I guessed that this life form might bring great disasters to the universe. But at that time, Karl had not yet become the king of the Death God civilization, and our demon civilization had just experienced a defeat and had no say in the universe. But at this time, that bitch Casa, for the sake of her own justice and order, did not eliminate them immediately, but gave them an observation period, and this observation period was given for 5,000 years. 5,000 years have given those mechanical life forms very terrifying combat power. When they realized that they were not much different from the top civilizations in the universe, their ambitions were exposed. These mechanical life forms took the initiative to start a war, and the universe launched the second physical war. But in this war, the triangle body, the beast body and the Shen body stood on the same side. And at this time, a civilization quietly embarked on the journey of the empire, because the other level 9 civilizations were engaged in physical wars and had no time to take care of it. That empire became extremely powerful, but the combat power of mechanical life forms exceeded the expectations of all civilizations. In the end, we had to rely on the strength of that empire, and to show sincerity, All of our level 9 civilizations need to send 10 babies to them as hostages to prevent us from breaking the covenant. That empire is indeed very powerful. After they joined the battlefield, we won the physical war, but when their main force was retreating, it was ambushed by the coalition forces of 4 level 9 civilizations, and that main force was annihilated. The 4 level 9 civilizations did not discuss with any of our other civilizations in advance, but, as usual, we eventually joined hands to fight against this empire. In the end, it was just as you know, countless civilizations paid a terrible price. Finally, that empire was destroyed, and those babies who were sent there as hostages, naturally, will never come back. Morgana told Nagusa the truth that had been blocked by all the 9th level civilizations more than 10,000 years ago. Chapter 77, Non-Agency. After hearing Morgana's words, Nagusa was so shocked that she was speechless. Surprised. In fact, there are many similar dark histories in the universe. What you know before is just the tip of the iceberg. Morgana shook her head. These children have been transformed into cyborg life forms. In some senses, they are no longer organic life forms. Now it is the Cybertron crystals that drive their lives. But after all, they are still children of our demon civilization. If their genes have not changed, maybe we can revive them as organic life forms. Morgana looked at the 3 demon babies in the petri dish with a thoughtful look. She was indeed completely addicted to fighting after becoming the Demon Queen, but she was also a scholar in the past, so she would still be curious about some unknown things. In the past, almost all civilizations have conducted research on mechanical life forms, either openly or secretly. Although Cybertron crystals are needed to create mechanical life forms, the ability that allows life forms to evolve by absorbing energy has never been researched. Therefore, various civilizations later gave up the research on this ability and simply destroyed all Cybertron crystals in order to eliminate future troubles. After discovering these, I guess the king of the Shura civilization must have been panicking, right? Morgana suddenly said this. No, Queen. That guy is a very strange person. He doesn't seem to be surprised by any sudden situation. He is like a person who always wears a mask. You can't tell his joy, anger, sorrow, or happiness at all. And for every sudden situation, he can properly deal with it, as if everything that happened was within his expectations. But I think he might be a little scared this time. After he found these babies, he found me as soon as possible. No, Morgana interrupted Nagusa. He's not afraid. This little boy is very smart. Hiding this discovery to himself will only bring him endless troubles. And the most important point is that there is no way for a civilization higher than their current level to research the technology contained in these things. But if he gives these babies to us, then we will inevitably need to give him something as a reward for finding these babies and handing them over to us. Morgana did not put away the petri dishes, but walked directly back to her throne. Then what do we need to do? Nagusa asked. Humphrey. Morgana smiled coldly. As a reward, I will send these demon babies back. This is a great gift from our demon civilization to our subordinate civilization. It can not only bring him powerful combat power, but also let him feel the importance of our demon civilization to him. Boom. The protective shield of a space battleship was broken, and then it was pierced by a laser, and it exploded instantly. At 10 o'clock today, Chen led a coalition of 500 players to attack the 3rd level NPC civilization. Then, at the moment when the 2 armies came into contact, the army of the Shura civilization, with its huge combat power advantage, completely defeated the NPC army in front of them. The army of that NPC civilization could not resist the invasion of the Shura Empire at all. The battleship that had just been destroyed was the last battleship of that NPC civilization on the front battlefield. And that NPC civilization also quickly chose to surrender and announced that it had been officially captured by the Shura Empire coalition. The Shura civilization won the MVP of this war with a 52% output rate and received a reward of 300 blue diamonds. Congratulations to the Shura Empire for successfully capturing the first level 3 NPC civilization. All players in the alliance will receive a reward of 1000 blue diamonds. The full server channel was soon released. Shura Empire, Sakaro Star Region Regiment. Shura Civilization Front, 526 people. Chen, thank you for your hard work, everyone. I will send out 3 lucky red envelopes in a while. Good luck everyone. Chen, lucky red envelope. Chen, lucky red envelope. Chen, lucky red envelope. 3 red envelopes, a total of 150,000 blue diamonds. If divided equally, basically everyone can get 300 blue diamonds. Thank you, boss. In an instant, the screen in the group was refreshed. Since each red envelope has 526 copies, Chen simply grabbed some for himself. Blue diamond +2, blue diamond +1, blue diamond +5. Chen. Chapter 78, Transaction with Ducal. I don't think this is a good idea. Then what do you think we should do? Really give up the fight for the Sakaro Star region? Don't forget, we don't have the right to reselect our birthplace. We can trade treasures with the Shura Empire like the Golden Alliance. If we really go to war with them, we have no chance of winning. Treasures. What treasures can we take out? We will have them eventually. So what? This is not the previous game activity. As long as we gather other players and kill all the players of the Shura Empire, what can we do with only one Shura civilization? This is just a conversation between the top leaders of one of the silver-level alliances in the Sakaro Star region. But in fact, similar conversations are still taking place in the Sakaro Star region and other star regions that the Shura Empire intends to capture. No alliance is willing to become a foil to the Shura Empire for nothing. In such an environment, a war against the Shura Empire is about to sweep in. However, at the same time, since the main direction of the war is now in the Alliance universe, so our protagonist Chen simply went out to travel through the space transmission device in the Shenzhen Mall. Hello, friends, I'm back again, Chen shouted to the quaint little courtyard. Why are you back again? Didn't you go to travel around the universe? Ducal frowned and looked at the man who suddenly appeared in front of him. If he didn't really feel any malice from this man, I'm afraid he would have asked the Monkey King to knock this man to death early. Oh, it's a trip after strolling around here. Go back and stroll somewhere else. Chen took out a chair and sat down directly, not treating himself as an outsider at all. You guy, Ducal sighed, and on the surface he no longer paid attention to Chen, but behind his back he quickly called Sun Wukong over through a secret signal. Oh, isn't this a watermelon? I'll take 2 to eat. Do you know how expensive this thing is now? Ducal snatched the watermelon back from Chen's hand. It's a great pleasure to have friends from afar. Why can't you even give me a watermelon? Chen was very dissatisfied and picked up a piece of sugar cane and started chewing it. Sugar cane is not very expensive. So Ducal just glanced at it and didn't say anything more. Where's the old man Z? Why didn't I see him? Rise went to the universe to find materials. Ducal looked at the bamboo slips in his hand and answered him casually. The super seminary was able to have so many weapons later, all thanks to these teachers who kept looking for materials in the universe for thousands of years. After all, Ducal and his family didn't bring much. What kind of materials do you want? Low level, intermediate, or high level? Chen chewed the sugar cane and said without raising his head, we need all of them. They really need all kinds of materials, especially high-level materials. After all, the weapons of the Galaxy Force and the No-Star God of War require high-level materials to make. I don't have high-level materials, but I still have some intermediate and low-level ones. But what can you trade? Chen said. What do you want? Ducal, who owns the entire database of Shura Civilization, is not afraid that he can't provide what the other party wants, but he doesn't want to suffer a loss. I don't want much. Branch technology blueprints, as long as you are willing to exchange, even if it is a space battleship, I can get it for you. Chen, who has the heart of the galaxy, said that he would not have a backache even if he was sitting and talking. These words made Ducal fall into deep thought. Yes, this sentence just hit Ducal's soft spot. The most scarce thing on Earth today is space battleships. They have a lot of top super warrior genes and even magical genes. Among them, there are even 4th-level god body genes, galactic power and no Star Wars. But these god bodies need to grow up. Before they grow up, space battleships are the best fighting force to protect the Earth. And this is exactly what the Earth cannot manufacture now. After all, the area around the Earth is too barren. If the star field where the players are located is just a remote star field, the star field where the Earth is located is completely a poor area that is not loved by Grandpa and Grandma. If it weren't for the super seminary, this place wouldn't have attracted the attention of so many cosmic forces. "Tell me, how do you want to trade?" Du Cao said. He put down the bamboo slips in his hand, and even told Sun Wukong, who was about to arrive, not to enter here. Chapter 79 Shameless Du Cao. Something went wrong. I found the space fleet on my way to find resources. According to estimates, it should be a level 3 civilization. Wandering Rise's dark signal suddenly reached Du Cao. Level 3 civilization fleet? How many are there? I didn't have time to see clearly, but there should be no less than 15,000. I estimated that there are more than 1,000 level 3 space battleships. So many. Wukong, are you sure you can deal with them? It's hard for me to say. If it's a protracted war, they will stay where they are and fight me. Then there will be no problem. But if their goal is the Earth, then I can't hold them back by myself. The three people were chatting in the small chat channel. Is there something wrong? Du Cao himself is only a third-generation super soldier, so when communicating with dark signals, his eyes will flash with data streams. Some problems have indeed occurred. Now a third-level civilization space fleet has appeared outside the Earth. The total number of this fleet will not be less than 15,000 space battleships. After thinking for a while, Du Cao decided to tell Mo Chen about the current situation. Oh, judging from the current situation on Earth, this seems to be a serious matter, Mo Chen said casually, and took another bite of sugar cane. Didn't you say before that you can take out those large space battleships? I think now is the time for you to prove that you have that ability. Du Cao has always been ignorant of the depth of this man in front of him, but now, because the Liang civilization above them has already had some trouble with them, although they still have a trump card, wouldn't it be better if Mo Chen can solve it? I don't see any sincerity. Why should I help you? Mo Chen took another bite calmly. Du Cao looked at Mo Chen and finally sighed. He pulled the sugar cane out of Mo Chen's hand and picked up a watermelon and threw it into his arms. Is this your sincerity? Mo Chen looked at Du Cao in disbelief. He didn't expect that this person could be even more shameless than him. No, when I saw Du Cao in the anime before, wasn't he set up as a cold-blooded, dark-bellied man? Isn't this sincere enough? Du Cao said without blushing or beating his heart. Du Cao's operation directly confused Mo Chen, although he really wanted to make a move, and he also knew that he had to make a move. It was also a necessary step to let Du Cao take the initiative to show some sincerity, otherwise, wouldn't it lose his status? It seemed that he really wanted to make this transaction, although he did want to make a transaction, but now Du Cao made it so that he couldn't help or not. Hey, he is worthy of being a war maniac in the past. Mo Chen sighed in his heart. This time he really lost. Forget it. Mo Chen put the watermelon back on the table, took out the unicorn mecha from the heart of the galaxy, and activated all the equipment on his body that could be activated. Now Mo Chen has more than 40 pieces of equipment on his body. All the subsidiary stars started working at full capacity to study the drawings of those branch technologies. The first batch of primary products were immediately handed over to Mo Chen after testing and installed for him. Now, except that Mo Chen cannot enter the universe to fight, his other individual combat power is not inferior to the unicorn mecha. The need to equip the unicorn mecha is just because this war will be carried out in the universe. Of course, there is no way to deal with those enemies relying only on the unicorn mecha. After all, it is a space fleet of a third-level civilization, which has a large number of third-level space battleships. So Mo Chen simply showed his nature as a Krypton gold boss. He directly ordered a large amount of artillery fire in the exchange. These artillery fire are indeed just branch technology products of the second-level civilization, but the problem is that there is a bug in the dream world that is not a bug. When he took out an item from his system backpack, the farthest distance for placing these items was 100 kilometers. 100 kilometers. Barrier-free placement. What does this mean? This means that he doesn't need to worry about the protective shields of those space battleships. Without the protective shields, let alone the branch technology shells of the first-level civilization and the second-level civilization. Even a nuclear bomb can destroy all these space battleships. So in Du Cao's slightly shocked eyes, Chen, as if showing off, spun his unicorn mech in the air before flying into the sky. Chapter 80 A Black Pot. General, the coordinates of the life planet provided to us by the Norse civilization are not far away. This is a race with humanoid bodies but light blue skin. It's better to be cautious. This life planet is very tempting to the Norse civilization, but there must be a reason why they didn't come to occupy it. So everything still needs to be cautious. The general who spoke was a tall man wearing an exoskeleton armor. This civilization is a civilization dominated by technological weapons. But at this moment, a sudden violent wave spread to the warship they were in. What's the situation? Report to the general. Something went wrong. A life form suddenly appeared and directly destroyed 5 or 6 space battleships on our front line. The other party is a divine body. According to preliminary speculation, it should be a beast creature. Huh? How can there be a divine body in such a place? The general stood up from his seat in shock. Report. The other party has destroyed more than 50 space battleships. It seems that there must be something strange on that life planet. However, if the other party only has one divine body, then he can't stop our fleet. After some thought, the general issued his combat order. Leave a fleet of 3,000 space battleships to hold back the divine body, and the other battleships will head straight for the life planet. However, boom. Report that a ship has been attacked by artillery fire. Boom. We are constantly being attacked by artillery fire from an unknown area. Within the general's field of vision, he could already see that space battleships were suddenly attacked by artillery fire and destroyed on the spot. Damn, old dude, that guy is quite fierce. The noise made by Chen naturally could not escape the eyes of our monkey brother. What is the situation there? Du Cao asked hurriedly. The reason why they could communicate so far away was naturally not because of Du Cao's own abilities, but through the scientific equipment they brought from the Diener civilization. That Chen is quite capable. I don't know how he did it, but he opened a space channel inside the opponent's battleship's protective cover, and then threw a space missile into it. That guy is now destroying space battleships faster than me. When the Diener civilization was at its peak, it was only an 8th-level civilization, and the Monkey King in the Super God universe was not his real body, but just a replica created by the god of time Jilin. So they naturally couldn't understand the space technology possessed by the dream world. However, there is also a civilization with such powerful space technology, that is the Demon civilization. Du Cao, who knew about the Demon and Angel civilizations, naturally thought of this civilization at the first time. However, neither Chen nor Du Cao knew that at this time, in addition to the Liang civilization, there was another civilization paying attention to this battlefield. That was the Demon civilization that escaped here. This time, because of Chen, a little butterfly, the Demon civilization went to war with the Angel civilization hundreds of years in advance. But this time, because they had long expected Nagusa to expose her tracks, they were prepared, so they were not beaten too badly by the Angel civilization. Damn, what kind of technology is this? Morgana looked at the projected image in shock. As for the application of space technology, Morgana dared to say that except for the god of death Karl who conducted research with her at the beginning, no civilization could understand space technology better than her. Even the god of time Jilin could not compare with her in this field. But what did she see now? 70 or 80 space wormholes were released in a row, but their Demon civilization did not feel any space fluctuation information. Either it was done by the driver of the robot that kept moving in the fleet, or there was a civilization hiding in a place that even their Demon civilization could not find and manipulated this war. Compared with the former, they naturally preferred to believe the latter. After all, the robot was too weak. The secret device it used could only deceive the third-level cosmic civilization, and there was no way to deceive the Demon civilization. But even if it was the latter, it meant that the other party's technology level in space was stronger than their Demon civilization. What the hell is going on? Where did this guy come from? When did a civilization in the universe exist that could use space technology to such a powerful level? Unlike the Demon civilization, Cao was very clear. So he is from the demon civilization. What is his purpose? It was perfect. Due to the powerful ability of Chen in space technology through the dream world, Cao put the blame on the demon civilization. But of course, there is no problem in saying this. After all, the Shura Civilization is now a subsidiary civilization of the demon civilization. Chapter 81 Bug Fixes report that more than 6,000 spaceships have been attacked by artillery fire, and more than 5,600 of them have been destroyed. The blue-skinned general's face was very serious at the moment. He didn't expect that he would encounter such strong resistance in order to capture this planet, and judging from the strength that the other party has shown, the other party's combat effectiveness is even higher than theirs. But now he has fallen into a dilemma. If he continues to attack the planet now, he doesn't know what kind of enemy he will encounter. Maybe in the end their entire fleet will be destroyed, but if they retreat now, the more than 5,000 spaceships destroyed by artillery fire and the more than 1,000 spaceships destroyed by the divine body will be a total number that they cannot bear. This is not only unacceptable to their fleet, but also a price that their entire civilization cannot accept. Originally, the strength between them and the Noka's civilization was very close. Now without these nearly 7,000 spaceships, the gap between them has widened. If he returns empty-handed, he may face a catastrophe. Keep going. In the end, the general made this very unwise decision. Is there something wrong with the commander of this fleet? Chen shuttled freely in this fleet, so he already knew the total number of warships owned by this fleet. This is a large army with more than 35,000 space battleships. But now this army has lost 1/5 before reaching the final destination. If the commander of this army had a normal brain circuit, he would have chosen to retreat and would never make the stupid decision to continue moving forward. Since you are actively seeking death, don't blame me. Chen released another 25 bombs stored in the package. Because the maximum release amount of the package is only 25 units, Chen can only release a maximum of 25 shells at a time. Queen, so what should we do? The tall demon Cho looked at the scene at this time and couldn't help asking Morgana. Don't act trashly. I'm really impressed. How can you run into such a crappy thing in such a remote place? Are those guys from the Liang civilization all shit-eaters? In such a place, there is such a civilization, and they are totally unaware of it. Morgana said this because the Liang civilization had transmitted a signal of inquiry to them not long ago. It was obvious that the Liang civilization was also paying attention to the battle here, and they were also wondering whether this was the work of the demon civilization. Recently, we should hide away from the limelight. This unknown civilization is obviously protecting the Earth. Don't turn around and think that we are a civilization that wants to invade the Earth, and directly use such space technology to assassinate me for the hunter god. Only people who are used to using space technology can understand each other. Obviously, Morgana has used this technology to assassinate the hunter god more than once. Panzen, what is the demon civilization saying now? Reply to my god. They said that this was not done by them. Panzen knelt on one knee, and there was a ball of fire burning in the air right in front of him. The most powerful user of space technology in the known universe is the demon queen Morgana. Note, although the Death God civilization has been recognized as a 9th-level civilization by other civilizations in the setting of this universe, this does not mean that all civilizations will take the combat effectiveness of the Death God civilization seriously, because so far, the combat effectiveness of the Death God civilization has been supported by the Death God Karl alone. For other civilizations, the only thing this civilization has is technology and the large clock left by the former god of time Jilin. After all, the Death God civilization does not have a fleet that can match this civilization. What it has are the armies of some small civilizations that cannot even be called divine civilizations, such as the Tati civilization and the Giant Wolf civilization. If it weren't for Morgana, it would be hard for me to imagine that there are other civilizations with such strength. Panzen, keep observing. If it was done by the demon civilization, then they must be plotting something, and if it wasn't done by them, then the situation is the most serious. Yes. While the Demon Civilization and the Liang Civilization were in a tense mood, the army of the blue-skinned Chen Civilization had already been defeated. Not long ago, Chen accidentally destroyed their command ship, and the army began a complete escape. Then, just when Chen was about to chase, a system announcement rang in the ears of all players. After system detection, the system package contains a special vulnerability. From now on, the system package will be updated. The update content is as follows. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82 Negotiation of Transaction Content. Alas, has this bug been fixed so quickly? In the previous life, this bug was fixed a year after it was discovered by the players. Now, Chen pushed the use time of this bug forward by 1 year. But he didn't expect it to be fixed just after it was used up. Forget it. I didn't expect to rely on this bug to do anything else. Once this transaction is completely confirmed, the Shura Civilization will no longer have to worry about branch technology. However, the problem Ducal is thinking about now is no longer a simple transaction. Why did the people of the Demon Civilization come here? And why did they want to negotiate a transaction with me? But the content of the transaction is the branch technology of our civilization. Does this guy represent his own civilization or the Demon Civilization? If he represents himself, then why would the Demon Civilization give him so much space technology assistance? But if he represents the Demon Civilization, why does he need these low-level branch technologies? Ducal was puzzled. He really couldn't figure out what the other party's purpose was. Or maybe this guy is actually just a thief who stole a space device from the Demon Civilization. A purple-skinned old man put forward his idea. This is not impossible. Ducal sighed. However, before they could come up with anything, Chen and Sun Wukong had already returned to Earth. Chen alone could not have done it so quickly, but this time he took Sun Wukong's express train. Probably because the super fighting power he showed in this battle was recognized by the other party. Ducal, what do you say? I have proved myself. Everyone, sit down first. Ducal looked at Chen deeply, and the three of them sat down around a table in a pavilion. I want to know what you want these branch technologies for? Ducal asked as he opened the door and entered the mountain. What else can it be used for? Of course, it is to develop my civilization. Chen shrugged, cut a watermelon in front of him, gave half to Monkey Brother, and kept the other half for himself, but not for Ducal. Forget it. No matter what your purpose is for these branch technologies, these things are just some basic things for advanced civilizations. We agree to trade with you, so let's discuss the content and ratio of the transaction now. After thinking for a long time, Ducal finally put aside his doubts. There is no way. The Earth is now facing too much danger. If they don't have the strength to protect themselves, the super god genes in their hands will only become the factor that leads to their demise. But if they can obtain resources and cultivate the two fourth-generation gods, Galaxy Power and Noxing War God, then even if Morgana comes, there is no way to threaten them. It's very simple. For primary resources, one first-level branch technology blueprint can be exchanged for 30,000 units, and the second level for 300,000 units, and so on. And if it's a space battleship, a first-level branch technology blueprint can be exchanged for a first-level space battleship, and one can be exchanged for 800 ships from me. The same is true for the others. Branch technology blueprints of the same level can only be exchanged for space battleships of the same level. Do you think the content of my transaction is reasonable? Reasonable? Reasonable shit. Ducal complained in his heart. This is simply robbery. Chen directly lowered the price by 90%. I can't agree to such a condition. The materials that can be exchanged for each branch technology blueprint must be at least 5 times. Ducal said coldly. He didn't intend to give Chen any good face for such a robbery-like transaction condition. 5 times? Brother, who in the entire universe is willing to trade with you now? Even if they are willing, do you dare? Chen directly stated such an objective factual condition. Yes, This is indeed a very difficult problem for Du Cao now. At least 3 times, the normal transaction price in the universe is 10 times what you offer. These branch technologies were also developed by our civilization through continuous research. I can't give them to you at such a price. Du Cao finally made a concession. There was no way. They really needed these things now. 3 times, but my civilization is not rich either. And you know how much resources it takes to move those things here with such space technology? Chen was talking a lot, probably to say how much he had to pay for such a deal. 2.5 times. Du Cao slammed his fist on the table. It can't be any lower. If it's any lower, then this deal is over. Chen looked at Du Cao, and Du Cao looked at Chen. The two sides looked at each other, and on their faces, Monkey Brother was eating a peach in one bite, and he was very happy. Okay. 2.5 times. Chen finally agreed to this price. In fact, Du Cao lost in the end. After all, Chen's original estimate was 3 times the price Du Cao had proposed before. Chapter 83 Special Instant Century Volume. Chen was having fun on Earth, but the Allied universe was already in a state of chaos. In the Sakaro Star region, 7 or 8 allies united together. They did not form a large-scale army to attack the Shura Empire. Instead, they continuously attacked the civilization of the Shura Empire. Some of the civilizations of the Shura Empire were wiped out in an instant because they were located in remote areas and had no allies around. Yunfeng, Deputy Alliance Leader, although we don't have time to deal with these allies, if we don't do anything, this matter may have a very adverse impact. Roger, and CEO. But the problem now is that the other side only picks on the weaker civilizations among us, and the other side is not in a large-scale form, but scattered in various places, which makes it difficult for us to stop the other side's behavior. Huang Ting-u, can't we do the same as the other side? Yunfeng, Deputy Alliance Leader, no, it is easy for the other side to lead the rhythm on the World Channel. Although we are not afraid, this will affect the influence of our alliance in the later stage and part of the development plan. Chen, Alliance Leader, behead them, directly bribe the members of the other alliance and report the position of their boss in this star field, so that their alliance will passively enter a state of chaos. In the alliance universe, in different large star fields, each alliance must choose a leader. If this leader is killed, then all members of this alliance in this large star field will not be able to launch an attack, and this state will last for a month. Yunfeng, Deputy Alliance Leader, no problem. After Chen gave the instructions, the management of the Shura Empire immediately took action. Soon, through bribery and other means, they obtained the coordinates of the alliance leaders who launched the attack on them. One of these alliance leaders was even not far from the Shura Civilization. Chen sent the army over and it would take less than half a month to kill him. Among the other alliance leaders, only 4 had no members of the Shura Empire around them. After all, the weak ones had been killed by them. The remaining ones were relatively powerful, but this was just right. These civilizations could be used as outposts of the Shura Empire. Even if the other party discovered them, they would not be able to capture their civilizations in a short time. The content of the transaction has been negotiated. Why are you still here? Du Cao looked at this man who was lazy and ate in the yard every day, and felt very unhappy. Earth civilization has not yet reached the pre-nuclear era. In order not to affect the normal development of this civilization, they have not established diplomatic relations with Earth civilization. So now, although Du Cao is an official, he still relies on salary for food and drink. This guy has already eaten up half of his salary in the past 2 days. If it weren't for the fact that he had just negotiated a deal with him and he had saved some money over the years, he would have kicked him out long ago. Isn't it just some of your food? Are you so stingy? Chen rolled his eyes. Of course, he had his own food. He had a lot of food that was countless times more advanced than what Du Cao had. But he just wanted to see Du Cao's look of wanting to be angry but not daring to be angry. Flirting with NPCs always makes players feel happy. Although Chen is a very calm person, his nature is not like that. If he doesn't relax, his mentality will sooner or later become problematic. Forget it. I'm unlucky to meet a gangster like you. Du Cao took a deep breath and rode his donkey to the government office to work. Monkey Brother stayed in the Flower and Fruit Mountain. The others either worked in the secret base or searched for resources in the universe. Since there were no secrets hidden in this mansion, Du Cao was relieved to let Mo Chen stay here. It's really boring. Mo Chen opened the limited time mall and planned to see what items were refreshed this week. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. Special copy entry volume, can enter a certain period in history. In this copy, the points earned by the player can be exchanged for any items that appear in the copy, and will not be restricted by a specific civilization level. Exchange price, 3 million divine diamonds. Exchangeable number 11. Chapter 84. Taking a day off. I have some things to do today, so I may not have time to update. Sorry. Chapter 85. Ink Crescent Ship. Capture of the Ink Crescent Ship. Special copy. 10,000 years ago, a huge space carrier entered the Miles star field. This was a warship of the 8th level civilization Shura Civilization. This warship was called the Ink Crescent Ship, which used a double-hull engine, a technology that obtains energy by simulating the collision of small black holes and small white holes. This space carrier can carry 500,000 soldiers. As a famous pirate civilization in the universe, the Shura Civilization obtained countless financial resources through plundering countless years ago. These resources and financial resources made this civilization an extremely powerful existence in the universe. The Ink Crescent ship is one of the main battleships of this civilization throughout its life. The worst of the 500,000 combat members on it are third-generation super soldiers, and there are even thousands of divine bodies. The purpose of this warship entering the Miles starfield is to plunder a 7th-level civilization, their Norse civilization. However, after 7 years of war between the two sides, the Norse civilization won final victory with a crucial war. This war is the famous battle to capture the Ink Crescent ship in the universe. This war lasted only 3 days. In the end, the Norse civilization successfully captured the Black Crescent ship docked outside the atmosphere of the planet Sarlin. Players need to play a Norse soldier in this war, and successfully follow the Norse civilization's army to capture the Black Crescent ship in these 3 days. Mo Chen exchanged it immediately after seeing this copy entry volume. Mo Chen once knew about this battle, and he also knew the subsequent direction. Although the Norse civilization did win this war, it also attracted the anger of the Shura Civilization. The Shura Civilization sent 3 space carriers, and 2 third-generation gods completely surrounded the Norse civilization. However, due to the intervention of the Angel Civilization, this war that the Norse civilization was bound to face did not start. Instead, the Shura Civilization was destroyed by the 9th-level civilization because it robbed something from a 9th-level civilization. After entering this copy, the points are determined according to his survival time and the enemies he defeated. These points can be exchanged for everything that has appeared in this copy. In other words, if I have enough points, I can even exchange for the Ink Crescent ship. But on that battlefield, my combat power is likely to be only the weakest among them. If I don't get something that can quickly improve my combat power, I may not even be able to hold on until the end of the battle. Mo Chen sat on the throne, thinking about how he should get the most benefit from this copy. Anyway, the Super Combat Power Enhancement card in the mall unconditionally improves the user's level by 1 level, lasts for 1 day, and the upper limit of use is the 3rd generation of Divine Body. Only costs 50,000 divine diamonds, and there is no cooldown. The first 2 days of this war were fought on the ground, and the combat power of the 4th generation super soldiers can still hold on for a while. But this is nothing. The points that can be obtained are not that high, and I still need something that can quickly improve my combat power. Mo Chen sighed. There is no more on the Divine Diamond Mall for the time being, and there is definitely no more on the exchange. Those poor kids, although they have some good things in their hands, most of them will not be sold. Anyway, what is currently available on the market can't do much for Mo Chen. When Du Cao comes back later, let's ask him. This guy has a lot of good things in his hands. Maybe there will be some surprises. Du Cao, who was in the court, resisted the urge to sneeze. Queen Kesha, wars have been breaking out in remote areas of the universe recently. And not long ago, people from the demon civilization also went there, although we have reached an agreement with the Norse civilization. Yes, that's right, it's the previous civilization. After surviving for 10,000 years, they also became a level 9 civilization, and the Candle civilization. But they are constantly provoking the bottom line of our justice order, and we think we must give them some warnings. In the vast angel hall, Yan knelt on one knee and told the holy Kesha her thoughts. You have a point. The order of justice must be implemented throughout the universe, and according to the law of justice signed by us and the vast majority of level 8 and 9 civilizations in the universe, when there is something that seriously undermines the implementation of the order of justice, the angel civilization has the right to ignore the protests of any level 8 or 9 civilization and severely punish those civilizations that seriously violate the order of justice. This matter is left to you. Kesha sat on the throne and finished these words slowly. The weight of the Angel King for more than 100,000 years is imposed on her. Even if she does not show any of her strength, she will bring a momentum that makes people surrender. Izui has been there before, so I think I will continue to send her this time. Just do as you say. Yes. Chapter 86 Damaged God-killing armor. Strong individual combat power weapons. What dangerous things do you want to do? Du Cao frowned and looked at Mo Chen. I have some things to do, but I can't use large battleships. I can exchange things. I just want to know if you are willing to exchange? Mo Chen sat in front of Du Cao very calmly. Judging from the combat power you showed before, you shouldn't need such things. The place I'm going to this time cannot use large-scale weapons. I'm worried about being targeted by more powerful enemies, and I can't directly get a space battleship through space technology. Sending a Black Crescent ship will be a direct shot. Leaving these aside, my own combat power is not strong. Du Cao lowered his head and kept tapping his fingers on the table. I need some special minerals, which are called Shura crystals. I wonder if you have heard of them? Shura crystals are a very special crystal in the universe. This kind of stone itself does not have any special energy, but it can carry energy infinitely and is a very top-level material for making weapons. But this material is like the diamonds of Blue Star in the previous life. The quantity is not small, but it is hyped up by unscrupulous businessmen in the universe. And the origin of this crystal is very concentrated, and it is also occupied by a level 9 civilization. So although it is also circulated in the universe, the price is very expensive. Of course, this is only for civilizations below level 9. Other level 9 civilizations will naturally not lack this resource. After all, that civilization does not dare to go too far, so this crystal will be provided to other level 9 civilizations for free by that civilization, at least with the current financial resources of Du Cao. If they do not sell some of their own bottom-line things, they cannot afford that kind of crystal. But because Du Cao believes that Mo Chen is a member of the demon civilization, he thinks that Mo Chen may be able to take out this kind of crystal. Shura crystal? Mo Chen certainly knows this kind of crystal, although he does not have it on hand. He has seen a lot of it in the exchange. Because this kind of crystal is not a particularly precious thing for the dream world, many players have opened this kind of crystal from the treasure chest. Of course I have, but I have to see the goods first. Mo Chen did not intend to cheat Du Cao again on this matter. After all, even if you are doing business, you can't be too extreme, so as not to kill the business. Okay. Du Cao nodded. He took Mo Chen in a carriage to a small island in the middle of the lake. Of course, he couldn't take Mo Chen directly to the core place where they stored these things. Bringing him here was just to cover up and prevent other ordinary people from discovering some abnormal movements. Soon, a blonde woman wearing a graceful dancer's costume came over. Let me introduce you. This is Lianth. Hello, King of Shura. Lianth saluted. A black box suddenly appeared in her hand. Inside is a set of god-killing exoskeleton armor, but it was damaged in the war many years ago. But it can still reach the level of a 5th-generation super soldier now. Du Cao opened the black box, and a dark golden battle armor emerged from it. Its defense level, attack capability, movement speed, and the engine it carries, All of these I need to have some basic understanding of. Chen would not entrust his life and plans to a mecha that was only claimed by others to have the level of a 5th-generation super warrior. As for the defense level, since the damage was on the back, destroying one of the energy shield structures, the defense cap on the back can only resist attacks of level 4, and other positions can resist attacks between level 5 and 6. As for the attack capability, its internal energy source is basically perfect, but the god-killing weapon it possesses can only barely reach the point of injuring the divine body because of the damage it suffered during the battle. As for the movement speed, it is actually not affected much, at least it is much faster than the combat mecha you used at the beginning. Finally, the engine. The engine uses the 2nd-generation engine of the Shikigami River. The style is relatively backward, and it is still the technology popular in the universe 4,000 years ago. Of course, the basic level is still up to level 6. In order to close the deal, Ducao explained in detail the various facilities and capabilities of this exoskeleton armor. Not bad. The quality of this armor is indeed not bad. After all, it was once a god-killing level armor. Although it was not completely repaired later, it was slightly repaired. So although the performance has declined, there are actually no major defects. Okay, I am satisfied. Chen nodded and bought the Shura crystals that Ducao needed from the exchange. At this point, all preparations for entering the dungeon have been made. Chapter 87 Entering the Dungeon. Do you want to enter the dungeon? The Ink Crescent ship. Yes. Loading. Please note that in this dungeon, no super game actions can be performed. That is, you cannot talk about anything outside the dungeon time period, and you cannot tell others the final outcome of the dungeon. Understood? Hey, boy, don't stand there. Hurry up and go. A strong man pushed Chen. His team was obviously different from the other teams. The other teams were composed of some races wearing neat military uniforms and combat uniforms, with black clothes and root horns on their heads. Only his team was composed of different races, and the things they carried were also various. These people were from other civilizations. Some were affiliated civilizations of the Norse civilization, some were here to trade, and some were just here for tourism. But now that the war has broken out, the pirate civilization will not tell you which civilization you are from. No matter who you are, you will face life danger at this time. If the Norse civilization is captured, these people will not be able to escape either. So they also joined the army of the Norse civilization, formed their own army, and assisted the Norse civilization in defeating the Geno civilization. Okay. Chen followed the group into a large fighter plane. Everyone. A Norse officer stood up. Thank you very much for helping us with this operation. I'm sorry that I didn't tell you about the operation plan before, because this operation is very secretive. In order to prevent problems with the intelligence line, we can only resort to this last resort. The officer transferred a map to each person's military communication bracelet. This position is covered by the light shield of the Ink Crescent ship. Our space has been completely controlled by the opponent's fleet. As long as the Ink Crescent ship is there, we will always be at a disadvantage in space. And now the opponent's army is located in the place covered by this light shield. This light shield prevents our fighters and warships from attacking them. However, since their army also needs to enter the area outside the light shield to fight, there is a blank area at the bottom of the light shield. Our only combat purpose is to directly attack the opponent's rear and enter the range of the light shield. As far as we know, there is a space device in this light shield that can be directly transmitted to the Ink Crescent ship. You don't need to worry about being attacked by the opponent's warships and Ink Crescent ships there, because our warships have already been dispatched, and these warships will hold them back. But you must know that in addition to entering the light shield, we also need to pay attention to time. Since the energy required for this light shield is extremely huge and its procedures are also very complicated, it will take at least 2 hours for the opponent to change this light shield. These 2 hours are the last time for us to enter the light shield. Once we enter the light shield, since there are still armies of their civilization there, they will not use large-scale destructive strikes. But we also need to face the enemy's army directly. The officer of the Norse civilization paused. But this time is only 5 days. After 5 days, If we fail to complete this battle plan, then even if we have not been completely destroyed, our fleet in space will not be able to continue fighting, and we will be completely destroyed under the attack of the enemy's warships. This is the final decisive battle. The 800 or so people in the cabin were silent at this time. For Chen, this was a copy, but for them, it would be a tragic war. These 500 or so fighters, relying on special concealment technology, carried more than 400,000 soldiers to the front-line battlefield. Get off the plane! With the officer's shout, more than 500 people immediately left the fighter plane. At this moment, they were still 20 kilometers away from the area covered by the light shield. They need to pass all the enemy forces within 20 kilometers within 5 hours, or kill them all before they have time to report to the headquarters after they are discovered, because the battle in space will start in 5 hours. In order to prevent the target from being too large and being easily discovered by the enemy, everyone is divided into teams of 20 people. In the team where Chen is, besides himself, there is a 5th-generation super soldier and 2 4th-generation super soldiers. The others are only at the level of 3rd-generation super soldiers. The 5th-generation super soldier naturally became the leader of their team. Be careful to hide. A red light flashed from their location. This is a special reconnaissance laser, which will directly destroy the cells of organisms other than those equipped with special protective clothing, causing the other party to die. In order to avoid this kind of thing, the Shura Civilization equipped everyone with such equipment. The reason why this equipment can be developed is that in the previous battle, the Shura people used their lives to provide valuable research data for their experiments. Above them, a small carrier carrying 10 Gino soldiers flew over. Keep going. However, after they had safely advanced for about 2.5 hours, boom. Chapter 88. I have something to do today. I will make it up tomorrow. I have a meeting tonight, so I don't have time. I will make up for today's update tomorrow. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. War begins. Boom. The explosion is about 1.5 kilometers southwest of us. They are very close to us. If we don't want to be discovered, we must get away from here immediately. The captain of Chen's team immediately led them to the opposite place. The sound of the flying device sounded from time to time above their heads, and the density was about 10 times higher than before. This tense state lasted for more than an hour, until full sprint. In order to prevent the enemy from detecting the signal, the command center will only issue one command during the stealth phase: full sprint and plan failure. Start a sprint, kill all enemies you encounter in seconds if you can, and run if you can't. Chen activated the combat mode of the god-killing mecha. He didn't intend to do anything like pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger, because the overall strength of the enemy's army is not strong now, and he didn't take advantage of the moment to burst out all his strength and enter a state of invincibility. When he entered the light shield and various gods were fighting in the sky, it would be difficult for him to get points. Analyzing the data, there is a small force of about 50 people on your left, and there is also an air patrol force 2 kilometers above the right. Chen did not sprint forward with his team, but went straight to the 50-man force on the left. According to the troops they had encountered before, there were no 5th-generation super soldiers in this kind of troops, only about 5-10 4th-generation super soldiers. Hey, where are you running to? The 5th-generation super soldier in the team immediately asked him. However, Chen did not answer him, but rushed straight to the left. Chen's action made the 5th-generation super soldier feel something was wrong. However, when he tried to chase, Chen turned his head and fired a cannon in front of him, which forced him to stop his pace. Not long after Chen left the team, he met the small force of the Shura Civilization. Kill him. The leader of the small force was straightforward. He didn't say a word and started to fight directly. Chen immediately propped up the defense shield of his god-killing armor and blocked all the first round of attacks from the opponent. Then he picked up his dark energy weapon, Since Chen stored a large number of dark energy devices in the star, he could completely drive an attack equivalent to that of a 5th-generation super soldier. The reason why Chen did not dare to use this trick before was that he stored those dark energy devices for technical reasons, and the supply was not that large. Therefore, if he wanted his dark energy weapon to drive such an attack, it would take a long time to charge. But during that time of charging, it was enough for the enemy to kill him countless times. But now equipped with this set of god-killing armor, it can not only support the opponent's attack during the charging process. At the same time, because the dark energy drive system of this set of god-killing armor itself is more advanced, his charging time has also been shortened a lot. These factors combined are enough for Chen to continuously release attacks equivalent to 5th-generation super soldiers in the formal battle. Chen released a dark energy sword wave through his dark energy weapon. This sword wave directly tore apart several 3rd-generation super soldiers who were rushing towards him. This put the Genoan troops, who had been advancing forward before, into a dilemma for a while. "Keep attacking," the commander shouted, and at the same time, he seemed to be calling more people over with a secret signal. Chen made a prompt decision and went straight to the commander. There was no other way. Although he needed to kill more enemy troops to gain points, he could not fall into the enemy's heavy encirclement. After all, with his current strength, he could not fight against hundreds or thousands of people alone. Dark matter cutting, a basic use of dark energy, but when the driven dark energy is large enough, its power is equally terrifying. The commander held up the protective shield, but the protective shield did not last long before it was cut and shattered. Of course, Chen's attack was also consumed, but Chen would naturally not give up such an opportunity. A dark matter cage was directly released by him, imprisoning the commander. But this time Chen did not use dark energy weapons. Instead, he directly drove the core heavy artillery of the God-Killer armor. This heavy artillery can release a laser attack comparable to that of a 5th-level space battleship, and even a 5th-generation super soldier cannot resist it. The reason why Chen didn't use it at the beginning was to use it when all the other people were protecting the commander and had no way to escape. Boom. The 50-man Gino Civilization unit was completely wiped out. Chapter 95 Generations of Super Warriors. General, something has happened. The small force we encountered was not accidental. Our patrol was attacked just now. According to the data analysis conducted by our intelligence department, there are probably 400,000 troops here. However, if the enemy launches a full-scale sprint now, it will take less than half an hour for them to enter the light shield. A soldier of the Gino Civilization reported the current situation on the battlefield to a huge man who was 3 meters tall. What on earth is Kirby doing? Why did he not discover a large number of enemy troops until now? The tall man stood up from his seat. He was naked from the waist up, covered with scars, and the weapon in his hand was a mace. Bruno punched the table in front of him, and this punch directly smashed the desk that could withstand the full force of the 4th-generation super soldier. The enemy seems to be equipped with a kind of armor that can't be detected by our rays. In addition, the enemy's advance is relatively secretive, and most of our patrol troops are in the air, so we didn't notice it before. This is not a reason. The enemy's goal is definitely to go to the portal that can lead to the Black Crescent ship. From now on, I will personally lead the army to stop them. Bruno put on his military coat and walked out of the command post with the mace. On the other side, Chen only took 10 minutes to kill more than 500 soldiers of the Gino Civilization. At this time, he was fighting with a 5th-generation super soldier. As the number of Gino Civilization soldiers he killed continued to increase, the area he was in would naturally be valued by the Gino Civilization, so the first 5th-generation super soldier appeared in front of him. "Your killing stops here," the 5th-generation super soldier shouted, and then pressed down the big sword in his hand. However, Chen, who had rich combat experience, just slightly turned his body and used his clever strength to resolve the attack of the super soldier. Then he directly attacked with a dark energy attack. The 5th-generation super soldier was repelled on the spot. However, due to the short charging time, this attack did not cause obvious damage to the opponent. But this was enough for Chen to gain the upper hand and suppress the opponent to fight. There is a problem. Chen obviously had an absolute advantage, but the opponent was not panicked at all. The sword blade with dark energy cut through the opponent's armor, and blood flowed out, but the opponent suddenly grabbed Chen's hand tightly, not letting Chen break free. At this time, a person suddenly appeared beside the two. A long spear pierced Chen's head. Dang! At the critical moment, Chen released his Wang Ling that had been in his body for a long time. Due to the difference in weapon quality, Chen's Wang Ling was directly broken into two pieces. However, since Wang Ling is a nano-weapon, as long as Chen takes it back into his body, it will recover as usual in a short time. But Wang Ling has successfully delayed the opponent's attack. Chen pulled out and blocked the shot. The three of them took a step back, fighting 1 against 2. But Chen was not panicking. He had already begun to charge the dark energy weapon secretly. Boom! With the sudden sound of an explosion not far away, the three of them started fighting. Chen used his God Killer armor to forcibly hold down the offensive of the two opponents. However, it was obvious that these two people did not train together normally, and there were still many unfamiliarities in their cooperation. Chen relied on his experience to leave scars on their bodies. These scars were still attached with dark energy, and they could not be restored unless these dark energies were completely eliminated. However, the two people who were eager to deal with Chen's attack obviously had no time to eliminate the dark energy in their bodies. The injuries of the two were getting worse and worse. As long as they were unable to support their body defense due to injuries and excessive consumption of energy in their bodies, Chen could take them away with one blow. Boom! A laser cannon was released from the God Killer armor, blasting the two back dozens of meters. At this moment, the two 5th-generation super soldiers of the Shura Civilization no longer had the ability to resist Chen's attack. Dark matter cutting. A dark energy wave was released towards the two of them. Chapter 91 Entering the Light Curtain. Young man, don't be so violent. A magnetic chain shot out from a distance and tied up Chen. An old man walked slowly over from a distance. If we judge only from the other party's physical energy, the other party is not a divine body, but the energy contained in the magnetic chain made Chen a little frightened. God-killing weapon. Chen frowned and looked at the old man. That's right, the magnetic chain is a god-killing weapon specifically for divine bodies. This means that on this battlefield, Chen encountered an enemy of the same level as him for the first time. Even because the god-killing armor on his body no longer has the ability to kill gods, the opponent's combat power may be even stronger than him. Young man, from the feedback from my weapon, you don't seem to be a 5th-generation super soldier. It seems that the armor on your body is a good thing. Chen struggled to get rid of the magnetic chain, retreated about 10 meters away, and looked at the old man vigilantly. How about this? You give me your armor, then I will only destroy the super god gene in your body, not kill you. In this way, this precious protection will not be damaged, don't you think? The old man showed a smile that he thought was kind. Stop talking nonsense. If you want to fight, then fight. Chen swung the dark energy weapon in his hand, and a dark matter cut was thrown over. That's really a pity. The old man sighed, swung the magnetic chain in his hand, and blocked the attack. But suddenly there was a violent explosion. When the old man rushed out of the explosion area, he found that there was no trace of Chen at this time. The two 5th-generation super soldiers had all been killed. Ah! The old man roared angrily, and the magnetic chain in his hand rolled up a lot of rubble and smashed it around. The idea in the mind of Chen who escaped was also very simple. At this time, if I collide with an enemy of the same level, I might end up in a protracted war. If I am surrounded by the enemy, I won't be able to escape. After fighting with the 5th-generation super soldiers, Chen gave up the plan to stay there and continue to harvest points. Now he can only rush into the light curtain to find an opportunity in the chaos. Fortunately, he did not choose to attack the light curtain at the first time, because a battle between top strong men was breaking out there. Your conspiracy will never succeed, Bunel roared, and swung the mace in his hand fiercely at several divine bodies around him. He is the best among the 2nd-generation divine bodies, and his combat power can be compared with that of the third-generation divine bodies. But now he is besieged by 2 second-generation divine bodies and 8 first-generation divine bodies. The war between them caused various dark energies to dissipate everywhere. Countless super soldiers have already died around. Bunel's combat power is indeed amazing. Facing so many divine bodies alone, he is not at all inferior. But the dark energy stored in a person's body is limited after all, and not everyone has a treasure like the heart of the star like Chen. The dark energy in Bunel's body is constantly decreasing. The reason why he needs to face so many enemies' siege is that they received false news not long ago and sent a large number of divine bodies to another place to attack a fake military base. That military base has no defense, but there is a top-level cage device arranged by 2 level 6 supercomputers. Even if those divine bodies have supercomputers, it will take at least 10 days to completely crack the cage device. After all, there are 2 level 6 supercomputers using their computing power to fight against them. When Chen arrived there, the war between the divine bodies had come to an end. Bunel's right arm was cut off and there was a big hole in his chest. Although he finally successfully killed a first-generation divine body, he failed to stop his enemy after all. Chen followed the flow of people into the light curtain. Chapter 92 Defeat the Old Man. Dark matter cutting. The black dark energy light wave instantly hit several enemies hard. In the light shield, most of the divine bodies have been dragged down, but a small number of divine bodies have escaped the battle in the universe and arrived at this battlefield through the Black Crescent ship. These divine bodies are constantly attacking those more powerful super soldiers. Destruction Ray. Built-in God Killer armor. All the super soldiers who were injured by the dark matter cutting before fell under this attack, including these guys. I have killed 176 soldiers since I entered the light shield. If I continue like this, I am afraid that those divine bodies will notice me. Chen quietly retreated and hid in the large army of the Norse civilization. In Chen's estimation, in the next 2 days, the number of divine bodies wandering around the battlefield of the Shura civilization will continue to decrease. However, the army of the Norse civilization will decay at a faster rate. Chen is not clear yet how the Norse civilization finally captured the space device under such circumstances and successfully captured the Black Crescent ship. However, judging from the current situation, although the Norse civilization has a certain advantage in the short term, this advantage will soon disappear. Oh no, a divine body is eyeing this place. After Chen had been hanging around for a while, he suddenly heard such a sentence from the front of the team. Soon there was a series of explosions accompanied by screams. The divine body of the Shura civilization used very powerful thermonuclear weapons, which caused huge casualties to the team in an instant. It seems that I can't stay here. Chen sighed and was about to sneak away when a familiar magnetic chain shot over from a distance. That's right, the old man also rushed to this battlefield. It's really haunting. Chen began to charge his weapon. Damn boy, you can't escape this time. The old man rushed directly towards Chen. Dang. The long sword attached with dark energy collided with the magnetic chain. Space vibrations caused by the energy collision appeared around the two, but in the end, Chen took a step back first. There is no way to talk about the strength of dark energy weapons. In fact, they cannot be called level 5 weapons. The god-killing weapon in the old man's hand is a genuine level 6 weapon. The difference in weapons caused Chen to be slightly inferior to the opponent in hard collisions. Boy, it seems that you are not very good. After the first attack by both sides, the old man immediately launched a continuous and uninterrupted attack. This old man with rich combat experience, after the first mistake caused by carelessness, dared not relax his vigilance again. Dang, another round of collision. Chen retreated dozens of steps. He could already feel that the dark energy weapon in his hand was already a little bit unable to withstand the continuous fights. After 1 or 2 more collisions, this dark energy weapon might be damaged. This attack will determine the outcome, the old man shouted loudly, and the magnetic chain in his hand suddenly burst out with energy far exceeding the previous one. Chen looked at the old man with a very serious expression. Now the energy contained in the magnetic chain has reached the level of level 6. The highest energy level that Mo-Chen's weapons can produce can only reach level 5. There is no chance of winning in a head-on energy confrontation, but in many cases, the strength and amount of energy cannot determine who the final winner is. Dark Tide. Mo-Chen used his precise control of energy to simulate the vibrations generated by the energy collision into a pattern similar to the tide. Wave after wave gradually offset the opponent's energy. Mo-Chen would not pay attention to the old man's shocked expression at the moment. Although the old man's dark energy was almost exhausted because of the attack he just released. But Mo-Chen was sure that the movement caused by his fight with the old man must have been discovered by the divine body. If he insisted on killing the old man now, then the final outcome would undoubtedly be that he would also be killed by the divine body. He gave up the opportunity to continue attacking, and retreated quickly while the divine body had not yet arrived. Chapter 93. Behind the War. There are still 2 days left. Is it really okay for us to do this? An officer of the Norse civilization said. As long as we can capture the Ink Crescent ship and win this war, all the sacrifices are worth it. A person who looked like a commander said decisively. In fact, the Norse civilization never expected that these 400,000 people could successfully capture the space transmission device of the Ink Crescent ship. Therefore, the main force they used to capture the space transmission device was never the 400,000 people. The 400,000 people were just a bait. When the Jino civilization concentrated its forces to deal with the 400,000 people, there would be another force carrying large-scale weapons. When the divine bodies of the Jino civilization were almost consumed, and there was not much dark energy left in the bodies of those super soldiers, they would use that kind of large-scale powerful weapon. The remaining troops of the 400,000 people and the army of the Jino civilization were annihilated together. After that, this force would capture the space device and successfully land on the Ink Crescent ship. This is the truth of the Norse civilization's victory in this war that has not been recorded in history. An extremely realistic and cruel truth. However, Mo-Chen didn't know this at the time. He had completely hidden his whereabouts. He mixed in the crowd and fought a third-generation super soldier on equal terms. No one could have imagined that this was a strong man who had defeated a fifth-generation super soldier carrying a god-killing weapon on the battlefield not long ago. Mo-Chen was like this, from time to time, secretly killing a few more third-generation and fourth-generation super soldiers, and then moving to another place to continue to fish in troubled waters. In this way, he mixed all the way to the last day. At this time on the battlefield, according to Mo-Chen's estimation, the army of the Norse civilization may be less than 100,000. Among these 100,000 people, there may be 70,000 to 80,000 wounded soldiers. The Jino civilization also suffered heavy losses. It was difficult to see their gods wandering around on the battlefield, and the ordinary army also suffered heavy casualties. But even so, in terms of overall strength, the Jino civilization still steadily suppressed the Norse civilization. After all, those gods really brought too much trauma to the army of the Norse civilization. Since the outcome of this war was known very early, Mo-Chen has been thinking about one thing these days. That is how the Norse civilization won this war. Judging from the current situation, the Norse civilization has definitely failed in this war. In fact, according to the history that Mo-Chen knows, when the battle continued to this day, the army of the Norse civilization actually had the upper hand. Although the casualties were very heavy in the end, almost the entire army was annihilated, and only then did they win the war. Wait. For a moment, Mo-Chen seemed to catch a glimpse of inspiration. Almost the entire army was annihilated. This paragraph is very important. Judging from the current situation, even if the battle continues to the 4th day, it is unlikely that the entire army will be almost annihilated. So why? In this paragraph of history, it is recorded that the entire army was almost annihilated. The Jino civilization is a civilization that attaches great importance to companions. They have a strong pirate plot. They are unlikely to use large-scale destructive weapons here. So the only one who may do this is the Norse civilization, which is facing the danger of being completely occupied by the Jino civilization. So in order to win the final victory of this war, the Norse civilization used large-scale destructive weapons to kill all the people on the battlefield here. In itself, Such weapons are not enough to kill everyone here, but now most of the people here are injured, and their energy has entered a state of scarcity. At this time, they are no longer able to resist such weapons. So if the Norse civilization really did this, and at the same time brought a team to capture the space device after the weapon attack, then the final winner of this war is likely to belong to the Norse civilization. After the war, they will slightly modify their words, and then the situation of this war known to outsiders will be exactly the same as what is said in history. The Norse civilization used a blitzkrieg to forcibly capture the Black Crescent ship, and won the victory in defending its own civilization at the cost of almost annihilation. When this idea came up, Chen immediately felt that the probability of his speculation being established was very high. However, at this moment, there is a second possibility. Because Chen is good enough, has a large number of dark energy replenishment devices, and has basically not suffered any damage with his current combat power, as long as he does not encounter those second-generation divine bodies, it is basically difficult for others to kill him. Although he still couldn't beat those first-generation divine bodies, they were probably seriously injured and didn't have much energy left, so they could definitely run away if they really wanted to. So Chen could sneak to the space device in this situation. If he was lucky, he might be able to help the Norse civilization capture the space device by himself. If he could do this, he would definitely get a huge amount of copy points as a reward. Chapter 94 Instance completed. The location of the space teleportation array is behind the base camp of the Jinyu civilization in the Light Curtain. Before this, the Norse civilization had launched several strong attacks, but in the end, all of them ended in failure. However, the reason why Chen dared to do such a thing now was not because he thought that the opponent was very weak now and he could resist the remaining army of the entire Jinyu civilization alone, but because now, since he no longer had to worry about being hunted down by the divine body, many large weapons could be taken out and used. These weapons may not hurt the divine body, but they are more than enough to deal with those super soldiers who have been seriously injured and lack dark energy. Of course, it is different from the fleet that helped Blue Star solve the problem outside the universe. Now he can no longer use the bug of the system backpack, but through the heart of the stars, he can still do some similar things. At least it is no problem to release a few void bombs through the heart of the stars, but in this situation, it is naturally impossible to release void bombs, because everyone is fighting together, and the soldiers who hurt the Norse civilization will lose points. So Chen plans to use a special branch technology weapon. It is only at the second level, but now it can play a special role. Silver-winged bug, an extremely small and silent supply device that can provide energy supplement for super soldiers. The size of this bug is nanometer level. Now all the divine bodies and super soldiers have entered a state of energy deficiency. They cannot release the external protective energy shield for a long time. At this time, only the winged bug needs to sneak in and force them to replenish the energy that is not suitable for their own technological system. They will enter a short stage of physical collapse due to the chaos of the internal energy system of the body. However, this kind of bug has not been completely completed yet. They do not have the ability to distinguish between enemy and friendly targets for the time being. They can only replenish energy for those super soldiers who lack energy based on their own judgment. Therefore, once Chen uses this weapon, both the super soldiers of the Jinyu civilization and the Norse civilization will enter a short stage of physical collapse, and this is also the only opportunity for Chen to try to capture the space transmission device. Chen made a prompt decision and released the silver-winged bug directly. Countless insects that are invisible to the naked eye scattered around in this space and flew straight to those super soldiers and divine bodies that lack dark energy. The effect was very significant. Soon, countless super soldiers fell to the ground, their bodies twitching. Chen took advantage of this opportunity and immediately rushed to the location of the space transmission device. Along the way, there were divine bodies trying to catch up, but they did not have enough energy left, and now they were disturbed by the insects. Although they did not enter a state of physical collapse, they could not recover immediately. The space transmission device only needed someone to destroy the control system by force and then perform manual operation. It would take less than half an hour to change the program of the space device. After the change, it would take 6 hours of cooling time to make changes again. After entering the area where the space transmission device was located, Chen immediately released a third-level battleship shell through the star. Boom! The violent explosion instantly shook Chen away. However, due to the protection of the god-killing armor, although he was injured, it was not very serious. Chen got up from the ground and immediately went to the space transmission device to perform manual operation. It would take a lot of time to complete these operations by manpower alone, but since there is a second-level supercomputer inside Chen's body, which was later upgraded, it took less than 20 minutes to complete the process. During this period, although the body of Shura Civilization tried to block it, it was blocked by the famous divine body of Norse. But after completing this matter, the real test has just begun. He needs to log into the Ink Crescent through the space transmission device. Although most of the people on the Ink Crescent have arrived at the battlefield here, there must be 1 or 2 divine bodies left. If you want to capture it, Chen alone naturally cannot do it, but he can use the Void Bomb to perish with the Ink Crescent and the divine body on it. Boom! The plan was finally completed successfully. Although he was attacked by the divine body the moment he landed on the Ink Crescent, his left arm was cut off on the spot, and his abdomen was directly pierced by a divine weapon. But the Void Bomb was finally released smoothly. Congratulations to player Chen for completing the Ink Crescent Moon Dungeon event. Mission rating: SSS plus reward for killing enemies, 80,786 points. There were 3 divine bodies on the Ink Crescent moon ship in the end. All of them were killed. One of them is 10,000 points. Reward for survival time, 8,000 points. Reward for single-player capture of the space transmission device, 20,000 points. Reward for changing the historical ending, 50,000 points. Reward for final evaluation, 10,000 points. Chapter 95, Leave. I've been in meetings all day and I have to make a PPT later, so I have to ask for leave. Sorry. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, Becoming a God. That means I got a total of 168,786 points. Chen opened the Dungeon Exchange Mall. There were countless items there. The Black Crescent ship, the Divine Body Gene, the God-killing weapons, the 6th level space battleship, the 6th level branch technology blueprint. A large number of items above level 6 were placed there. There were not many items of level 3, 4, and 5. They were mainly some super soldier genes and weapons. However, the prices of those level 6 and 7 items were also very expensive. The average price was 50,000 to 60,000 points. The exchange points for the Black Crescent ship were even more exaggerated to 500,000. However, Chen himself did not think that he could exchange for the Black Crescent ship. He spent 70,000 to exchange for a first-generation Divine Body Gene, which was biased towards space. At the same time, he also used the remaining points to exchange for 2 god-killing weapons, but this time he did not plan to give one of them to others. Both weapons will be used by him to enrich his combat power. In the end, there were more than 8,000 points left. Chen used them to exchange for a branch technology product called Liuling. This thing does not provide any combat capabilities, but it can greatly improve Chen's dark energy perception. If there is any danger, Chen can find it faster and earlier through this item. The exchange ended here. Chen exited the copy space. The time of the copy and the time of the game universe are 1-to-1, so for Dukao and others, Chen also disappeared for 3 days. How is the armor? Dukao had already understood the general situation that he should know. Now that he saw that the other party had returned safely, he naturally would not be stupid enough to ask Chen about the details of what he did. Not bad. It is also good value for money. Mo Chen sat down unceremoniously and took a piece of the cake that Du Cao used for breakfast. Of course, when Du Cao thought of the overlord price given by Mo Chen, his originally happy mood immediately turned from sunny to cloudy. "Of course, I will be back soon. I will send you the space battleships and low-level resources you need." Mo Chen did not go back for this reason. He had already notified the Shura Civilization to produce this batch of goods. If he wanted to send it over, it would be very fast. The main purpose of his return this time was to implant the divine body gene into himself. He himself was not very clear, but he had a hunch recently. He was involved with the demon civilization, so he would definitely encounter the angel civilization in the future, and it was very likely in the near future. He had seen a female angel appear in the large star field around him in the player channel before. If it was just an ordinary female angel, the Shura Civilization would not have to fear anything now. But if a divine body came, then the Shura Civilization would have no means to rely on except Nagusa. Even once Nagusa appeared in the vision of the angel civilization, it was very likely that more angels would arrive later. And having a divine body would also allow Mo Chen to realize some of his plans more freely. "Then I wish you a safe journey." Du Cao waved his hand. Although they were now in a cooperative relationship, he was sometimes not enthusiastic about Mo Chen. Mo Chen was straightforward. After saying goodbye to Du Cao, he immediately returned to the Shura Civilization through the space teleportation device. "Fate, let everyone in the Institute give up all the work on hand. I have more important things for you to do now." After Mo Chen returned to the Shura Civilization, he immediately notified Fate. Then he rushed to the Shura Institute without stopping. When Mo Chen arrived, the Shura Institute, which was always known for its efficiency, had all its staff on standby. Mo Chen did not say much nonsense and directly handed over the divine body gene in his hand. "From today, I will study this gene with you for 5 days. In these 5 days, all the implantation steps of this gene must be arranged. 5 days later, I will implant this gene." Mo Chen is not a show-off, and he was not a king who only knew how to fight in his previous life. This is true for all the kings of powerful civilizations in the universe. In addition to being the most powerful people in this civilization, they are often the people with the most knowledge in this civilization. In his previous life, Mo Chen also participated in countless studies. Perhaps he could not be as thorough as Fate's research, but he also had a certain understanding of many things. Even if he was reborn now, many memories can only be buried because of the limitations of his body. However, he still has a certain impression of how to implant the divine body gene. In 5 days, under the leadership of Mo Chen, the Shura Research Institute arranged and completed all the implantation steps of this divine body gene. Now Mo Chen will become a god more than 200 years earlier than in his previous life. Chapter 97 Relic Function. Bang! The door of the experimental cabin opened. Mo Chen walked out slowly from inside. Now he felt surprisingly powerful. His whole body contained a lot of dark energy. Every cell was a microcomputer, constantly calculating the surrounding environment for him, listening to the surrounding sounds, and detecting threats thousands of miles away. As long as the dark energy in his body is not exhausted, these things will continue to run. In fact, if the dark energy is exhausted, it is just that the functions cannot be operated, and they will still provide Mo Chen with strong vitality. This powerful power is finally obtained again. Mo Chen waved his hand casually, and a water cup in the distance floated up and flew to the surrounding water inlet. After receiving the water, it flew into Mo Chen's hand. The ability that Mo Chen possesses is the ability to control space. Of course, it does not mean that the space level of this civilization has reached a strong enough level just because he has the divine body gene that can control space. What he has now is, after all, just a first-generation divine body gene. But Morgana has a thorough 9th level space technology. If the divine body is man-made after all, as it is continuously supplemented, the abilities outside of space can also be added to the divine body. Having just obtained the power of the divine body, Mo Chen still needs a period of adaptation. It's just that it's not the same as a super soldier. What he needs to adapt to is his own physical strength, and computing power and energy control are secondary. The most important thing that the divine body needs to adapt to is computing power and energy. and physical strength has become secondary. But it is precisely because of this that Chen, who has the experience of his previous life, will be far more adaptable to the divine body than others. It's better to create weapons with nanotechnology. Chen weighed the 2 god-killing weapons in his hand. These 2 weapons have been bound to his super gene, so even if they stab him, they will not cause harm to him. The reason why Chen said this is because the weapons created by nanotechnology are usually integrated into the host's body, which can effectively improve the host's physical strength. They can even be summoned without controlling dark energy. If weapons created by other technologies are used, they must be placed in their own space arsenal all year round. If the other party uses the technology to shield dark energy, then Chen may not even be able to use dark energy to summon these weapons. The entire implantation process of the divine body took 3 months, and many things happened during these 3 months. For example, Chen was successfully surpassed by a liver emperor in the ranking list. For example, the Shura Empire is in the Alliance universe and is having a headache for attacking the core force of that large star field, a powerful level 5 civilization. For example, Nagusa has returned from Blue Star and is now outside the research institute, intending to ask Chen how he obtained the divine body gene. After all, the various forces in the universe have not yet reached the point where they will tear their faces and fight each other madly after hundreds of years. At that time, the first generation of divine bodies were really worse than dogs. The second generation of divine bodies were everywhere, and only the third generation of bodies could barely be called high-level combat power. Now, because it is still in a peaceful period, there are regulations between the 9-level civilizations. So the divine bodies walking around in the universe are still very precious strategic resources. And for a weak civilization like the Shura Civilization, under normal circumstances, it may be difficult to see a divine body until the civilization perishes. But now, after Nagusa's exploration of the dark plane of the Shura Civilization system, she found that the current Shura Civilization actually possessed a divine body gene. This means that the Shura Civilization has become a divine body civilization. But in Nagusa's view, this is not a good thing. First, although the Shura Civilization has a divine body, its other strengths are too weak. Second, the Shura Civilization is taking the route of a cosmic empire. If it wants to develop along this path, once it becomes a divine body civilization, it will encounter hostility from all other divine body civilizations, and even siege. How did you get your divine body gene? After seeing Chen again, Nagusa asked directly. It was in the ruins before. Chen brought out the ruins where the mechanical life form was discovered before as a shield. Okay, then do you know what it means that you have become a divine body now? Nagusa looked directly into Chen's eyes, her tone somewhat aggressive. As long as you don't say anything, my civilization will keep its mouth shut. Chen didn't care about this. He didn't think that other NPC civilizations would find out that Shura Civilization was now a civilization with a divine body. After all, the surrounding civilizations would not think that a third-level civilization had developed a divine body. Since Shura Civilization now only has a 4th-level supercomputer and a few 4th-level civilization blueprints, none of the 4th-level civilization's main technologies have been unlocked. So other civilizations will not regard Shura Civilization as a 4th-level civilization. You can hide for a while, but not for a lifetime. The development speed of your civilization is the fastest among all the civilizations I have seen. But even so, if you want to have the foundation of a 6th-level civilization, your civilization will need a very, very long time. If you encounter danger during this period of time, will you not take action? Nagusa hopes that Chen can face this problem. After all, she has lived here for a while, and she also regards Chen as half of her friend, and does not want him to cause the destruction of civilization because of this. Don't we still have you in our civilization? At most, you can come forward if we encounter danger. Chen shrugged. He didn't think it would take too long for him to grow the Shura Civilization into a level 6 civilization. After all, he can not only help the Shura Empire to develop faster in the Alliance universe, but also because of him, the Shura Civilization has unlocked an important function. Only civilizations of level 5 and above are qualified to open the ruins attack function. Chapter 98. Attack the Great Star Region. Chinese Civilization Ruins. Level 5, 15% of the remaining completeness. Danger level, unknown. Lulai Civilization Ruins. Level 5, 35% of the remaining completeness. Danger level, low. Neji Civilization Ruins. Level 6, unknown of the remaining completeness. Danger level, high. The dream world will give the name and level of the ruins according to the sphere of influence occupied by the player and the player's civilization level. Then, according to the distance of the player's main star from the ruins, different levels of information will be given. Of course, the specific location of the ruins will not be disclosed. Therefore, the player can only speculate the specific location of the ruins based on the information from various places in the dream world. However, for Chen, it is not necessary. After becoming a divine body, a lot of his memories have been restored. So now, the coordinates of the civilization ruins that Chen mastered in his previous life are all in Chen's mind. There are a total of 362 level 5 civilization ruins, 67 level 6 civilization ruins, 13 level 7 civilization ruins, and 2 level 8 civilization ruins. There are more ruins that exist in his mind at the same time, but Chen did not master them in his previous life. However, even if Chen is now a divine body, he is not sure that he can explore the ruins above level 6 smoothly. What's more, he still needs to go to the Allied Universe to help the Shura Empire occupy the level 5 NPC civilization. After completing this, he needs to return to Blue Star to complete the transaction with Ducal. So Chen just chose a level 5 civilization ruins with a weaker danger level. This weaker level is of course not judged according to the evaluation given by the system. After all, the Dream Realm also calculates Chen, a divine body unit, into the overall strength of Shura Civilization. The ruins selected by Chen have a retention rate of only 5%. But the danger level is also extremely low. There is only a giant robot beast equivalent to a 5th-generation super soldier guarding it. In fact, there is really nothing good in this ruins. The only value of exploration is that it can speed up the research speed of level 5 and below civilization blueprints. But this is enough. This civilization ruins is about 180 light-years away from Shura Star. It is not within the sphere of influence of Shura Civilization, but the distance is not far. The Silver Army led by Himo only needs 1 week to get there. After completing this series of arrangements, Chen went to the Alliance Universe. It has been 4 months since the players led by Chen entered the Sakaro Star region. During these 4 months, the Shura Empire gradually expelled all the Allied forces that opposed it. Of course, the expulsion process was not smooth sailing. Due to the vast territory of the Sakaro Star region, the members of the Shura Empire are not densely distributed. Not long ago, it was attacked by the coalition army composed of several alliances, resulting in the defeat of many members. However, later, under the planning of several senior officials such as Yun Feng and the guidance of Chen, the Shura Empire adopted a decapitation tactic. After the implementation of the plan, significant results were achieved. With the beheading of the leaders of multiple alliances, these hostile forces finally chose to surrender. After all, although it is said that capturing NPC civilizations in the Alliance universe will have various bonuses for Alliance members, but in the same way, in the Alliance universe, in addition to NPC civilizations, there will be various other small system task activities. If the leader of an alliance is beheaded, all members of the entire alliance will fall into a state of chaos for a month. In a chaotic state, these players will not be able to complete those small system activity tasks. Such losses are not affordable for those small alliances. After winning the war with other player forces, the Shura Empire officially started the occupation of NPC civilization. Relying on the extraordinary combat power displayed by the Shura Civilization army on the front line and the numerical advantage of the various player armies, even the 4th-level civilization was conquered a lot. But in the end, facing the 5th-level civilization, the Shura Empire still had no way to conquer it. After all, this huge gap in strength cannot be made up by numbers alone. But now with Chen becoming a divine body, All the situations have changed. The divine body itself is comparable to the same level space battleship, even because the attack and defense power of the divine body itself is the same as that of the space battleship, but the mobility is better than that of the space battleship. So many times the role of the divine body on the battlefield will be greater than that of the space battleship. However, the divine body also has a disadvantage, that is, the dark energy it stores is lower than that of the space battleship, but on the real battlefield, the divine body often does not need to wait until its dark energy is exhausted to destroy the space battleship. After all, it is much easier to control one's own body than to control a space battleship. Moreover, once a space battleship is damaged in one place, it is very likely to cause problems in other places, resulting in a significant decline in overall performance. So in general, the Shura Empire now has a combat capability higher than the level of a 6th level space battleship. What Chen needs to do now is to quickly help the Shura Empire occupy this 5th level NPC civilization and open the barriers between star fields. To help the Shura Empire troops in other star fields quickly complete the attack plan on the large star field they belong to, then directly enter the core star field to occupy those high-level NPCs with extremely precious bonus attributes. Chapter 99 Successful Capture. General, the enemy has been in a stalemate with us for a long time. Why don't we take the initiative to launch an attack? No, the general shook his head. It's not necessary. They have been there for a long time. They really can't beat us, but if we really go out, their numerical advantage will be fully utilized. Even if we win at that time, we will have to pay a heavy price. That's right, this is the only level 5 civilization in the Sakaro Star region, the Genok Civilization. This is indeed the case. All the strategic arrangements of the Shura Civilization are now directed by Chen himself. Chen's idea is exactly the same as the result of the general's analysis. However, what the general didn't know was that because of his current analysis, he gave up the only chance to defeat the Shura Empire, because just 3 days later, Chen arrived at the front line. Everyone, as usual, launch a tentative attack. Chen immediately began to command after arriving at the front line. Using a tentative attack as usual cannot arouse too much vigilance of the opponent. At the same time, it can also allow Chen to feel the opponent's combat power more intuitively. General, they have started another tentative attack. These guys are really troublesome. Just destroy them with the Hagang missile. Yes, sir. The Hagang missile is an antimatter missile that uses space technology to advance technology. It is the most advanced missile of the current Genok civilization. Because of its space technology, the enemy often cannot detect the approach of this missile. At the same time, the characteristics of the antimatter missile can also make the protective shields of most space battleships ineffective. It is the key to the dominance of the Genok civilization in this large star field. However, this antimatter missile did not hit the Shura Empire's detection army in the end. Chen captured the missile at the moment it was launched, and through his own space ability, he allowed the missile to continue to wander in space. What's going on? After seeing this scene, the general asked the technicians around him in confusion. Either there were some minor problems in the manufacturing process of this missile, or it just happened to encounter space turbulence. But this is not a big problem. Just launch another one. The technicians almost instinctively ignored the possibility that the other party might have a more powerful combat unit. After all, the other side had never sent out such a combat unit in such a long battle, and the overall strength was relatively weak. Then release another one. The general's vigilance from years of fighting made him realize that something might be wrong, but he could not confirm the source of this feeling in a short time, so he had to issue such a combat command again. Boom. The vibration caused by the explosion reached the fortress where they were. However, it was not the exploration force of the Shura Empire that was attacked. It was the 2 space battleship storage points in the fortress. This time, even if the general was stupid, he knew that the other side must have used some higher-level space technology, and only civilizations of level 6 and above could use this space technology. The general's face suddenly turned pale. A level 1 civilization can fight a level 2 civilization, and a level 2 civilization can also fight a level 3 civilization. Even a level 6 civilization can fight a level 7 civilization, and a level 7 civilization can fight a level 8 civilization. But only a level 5 civilization cannot beat a level 6 civilization. There is no other reason. It is the divine body. As long as a first-generation divine body does not deliberately commit suicide, it is impossible for a civilization of level 5 or below to capture it and carry out an effective attack. Sometimes, it can even be said that a first-generation divine body can defeat a level 5 civilization on its own as long as it maintains sufficient energy. This is why the general is desperate, no matter how big the gap between the strength of the opponent's army and their army is. As long as there is a divine body that constantly carries out fatal attacks on the level 5 warships they have, the gap between them will be rapidly narrowed. When dealing with divine bodies, unless a large number of warships are sent to besiege, it is impossible to contain the opponent. Similarly, if such a force is sent to contain, how big can the gap between them and the army of the Shura Empire be? What's more, now that the 2 warship storage depots in their fortress have been destroyed, their remaining space warships can't even directly defeat the opponent's warship army on the front battlefield. On the other hand, Chen did not choose to charge forward and contain the enemy's forces to win the victory, and it was also to minimize losses. After all, after conquering this large star field, they still need to break through the star field wall immediately to help other Shura Empire troops to complete the capture plan. Surrender. The general sighed. After analyzing it, he finally concluded that they had no chance of winning. They didn't know that they were just an NPC civilization in the eyes of those enemies. From the perspective of cosmic war, the general's approach was not wrong, because if they surrendered now, they could retain their combat effectiveness. They would not become the opponent's subordinates, have no military strength, and be slaughtered by others, and the residents of their own civilization would no longer have anyone to rely on. Congratulations to the Alliance, Shura Empire, for successfully conquering the Sakaro Galaxy. The system's announcement resounded in the ears of all players. Chapter 100 General Candidate, Chen. The battle ends here. We only need to defend these 5-star regions now. We can't defend them all if we occupy more. After helping the Shura Empire to capture all 5 of the planned star regions, Chen said this in the Alliance group. Although the Shura Empire is relatively powerful compared to other alliances, but considering the number of alliance members it has now, defending 5-star regions is already the limit. If you want to enter the core star region, you first need to capture the connecting civilizations between the core star region and the edge star region. Those civilizations are all level 6 civilizations, and the Shura Empire does not have the strength to challenge them now. Chen. Recently, everyone should quickly improve the strength of their own civilization. If we want to conquer the level 6 civilization, our overall strength must go up. Chen. Also, I have decided to add a new intelligence department in the Alliance. This intelligence department is not aimed at other player forces, but specifically at NPC civilization. Chen. This department does not have much to do for the time being. It only needs to look for some traces of NPC civilization discovered by other civilizations on various forums. Those who want to sign up can go to Yunfeng. Such an intelligence department is crucial. Today's player civilization is very different from the previous life, and many things may have changed. Just like the current Shura civilization has chosen to accept the protection of the demon civilization. Just like the angel that appeared in the player forum not long ago. These are things that have never happened in the previous life, so it is extremely important to use such an intelligence department to explore the traces of NPC civilization discovered by other players. After all, with the current strength of Shura civilization, the gap between other player civilizations has been too large. The main strategic deployment of Shura civilization has now been turned to target NPC civilization. Come back soon. Chen said this to Yu, who was dozens of light years away, through Zhao. This is because Chen has awakened most of his memories, and many branch technologies mastered by the previous Moling civilization have been mastered by Chen again. However, The definition of the system cannot be changed. The simple branch technology weapons and equipment that Chen made through his own memory are not recognized by the dream world, but this is enough. These weapons are made by mixing and matching intermediate and a small amount of advanced resources, and the reference models are mostly some level 5 branch technology products. Chen dare not say that this set of equipment can make Shura's combat effectiveness reach the level of a 5th generation super soldier, but with her current 3rd generation super soldier genes, she can definitely be stronger than the general 4th generation super soldier. However, due to the current lack of advanced resources and the Shura Civilization, Chen can only arm Shura for the time being. This time, he chose her not because of any selfishness, but purely because Shura was sent to carry out the task of developing a high-level resource star. If she does not have a high combat effectiveness, it is inevitable that there will be some danger. After dealing with these, Chen went to a secret base of Shura Civilization. "Greetings, my king." A group of young warriors knelt on one knee to welcome Chen's arrival. "Tian, how are your recent training results? Have you received the graduation permission from Lieutenant General Claude?" Tian, the captain of the Imperial Capital University, the runner-up of the first Virtual League, the outstanding members of that year were formed into an elite force by Chen and sent to Shura to learn. Later, after they made great achievements on the battlefield, they were called back by Chen. "Come to this base for further training. These people will become the backbone generals of the future Shura Civilization army." Like Tian, Yun Yao, former captain of Qinggu University team, Hai Yu, former commander of Yulin University team. All three were treated by Chen as candidates for generals. Tian has a strong personal combat ability. If he can continue to fight on the battlefield, when he becomes a divine body in the future, his unit may be the most powerful army of Shura Civilization in the future. Yun Yao, a man with both wisdom and strength, is a very friendly person. Under his command, even the most aggressive people will obey his orders. In Chen's plan, the troops commanded by this man in the future can become the core defense force of Shura Civilization. Hai Yu, this man's wisdom is even inferior to Chen. Chen once fought a simulated cosmic war with him in the virtual space. The final result was that the man defeated Chen, who had thousands of years of experience, with his calm analysis and extraordinary wisdom. What else can Chen say about such talents? Reply to my king. Lieutenant General Claude has allowed us to graduate from him. Okay. Chen nodded. In this case, then I declare that all your training has ended here. From today on, you will be dispersed into various armies and become officers in them, commanding your own troops. Your transfer orders will be sent here soon. I wish you good luck. Thank you, my king. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.